Okay, on a much more relaxing note, I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I've been working on, or rather, trying to figure out for the last couple days, and it might spoil a bit too much of what's to come, but maybe you guys won't remember it. You know, when the time comes, maybe you guys won't remember it. And uh, maybe we'll actually, advertise for it a bit, hype it up. So I read 3 books and plus, a bunch of therapy sessions and, talking to my therapist and also with other people that I know. And also, kind of researching about anima and animus, and how in Carl Jung's theory the consciousness can be divided into separate parts, and it includes anima and animus. Now, I am not a therapist, I am not a psychologist, so I don't know. I am not a shrink. You can't talk to me about these stuff and expect me to give you, the most professional answer. But what I figured out is, an interesting thing. And I thought that I should share it with you. So the 3 books that I read are Invisible Partners by John A. Stanford, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, and what was the last one? When Nietzsche Wept by Irvin Yalom. So these 3 individuals, well, I don't know if you could count Carl Jung as that, but at least 2 of them are extremely existential. So meaning that most of their work is actually about, existential therapy and, existentialism, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and, the philosophies that surround that idea. So these 3 books, all in their own right, they deserve a separate video. I could talk about them separately if you guys wanted to, but overall, what I realized after reading these 3 books is that people tend to tie their lives' meaning and purpose and their own goals with their partners. More on top of that, they also tend to project their inner anima if they have a much more active animus, and their inner animus if they have a more powerful anima on their loved one. Basically, your consciousness or your mind could be divided into 2 parts: an anima, which is for much more emotional and reflective sides of your brain. It shows flexibility to very different phenomena, and it also can get hurt, can get happy, and it's flexible. It changes, and it's feminine. It's agreed to be feminine. The other part of your brain, animus, is mostly masculine, and it's mostly logical, has less emotions entangled with it, and it's more firm, less flexible, and it also can't be phased or changed easily. So the idea or the theory that Carl Jung had, that you could also read that in his not his book, but the John A. Stanford book, which is about Carl Jung and his theory, he says that when you fall in love, or when you feel great amount of affection to someone or something, you're actually projecting your complementary side of your brain, whether you are mostly anima or mostly animus, to that individual. For example, I, as a boy, I will project my anima on my partner. And what that means is that you're basically falling in love with a part of yourself. That's why it's so hard to let go. Because that's a part of you, And it's so hard to let go because you can't let go a part of your, consciousness. You are not able to let go what makes you whole. But the thing is, that's not like the person is not the thing that makes you whole. It's your anima or it's your animus. It's not that person. It's not that individual. You have all the things that you need to make yourself whole deep inside you. And what makes it really interesting is how easy it is for our brain to just, completely forget about that. It just completely forgets that, it has projected your anima onto somebody else already. Like, that's what it does, but it forgets about that. It's kind of like, deja vu, where your brain recognizes that, this certain thing is, akin to another thing, but it can't really point the finger on what. It just knows that it's familiar, but it can't say what, so it says that, yeah, this happened before. It can't tell you the details, or can't tell you, why it feels familiar, or what part of it feels familiar. It just says that it's familiar, and then you'll think, oh, this happened before, but you don't know the details. It's kind of like that. Your brain sees someone that has some, similarity to your anima, and then it just thinks that, oh, that's your anima. That's not, that's not another individual. That's your anima. That you should get with her. You should, spend more time with her because she's the one. She's the thing that makes you whole. That's not the case. She isn't the one that makes you whole. You are already whole. And deep inside you, that loved one that you feel so much affection towards, you feel so much, emotion towards, that person is actually deep inside you. You're projecting yourself onto that person. So you should first of all love yourself, because you have such a beautiful individual deep inside you. And you should take care of yourself. You should value yourself. You should stay conscious of your own, values and characteristics. Because what happens more than we would like to admit is that people start projecting their entire identity, their entire meaning, their entire purpose, and all of that onto another individual. And after a breakup or something, they just completely forget about themselves. They lose themselves. They lose all their values. They lose all their beliefs, all their purpose, everything, and they just suddenly turn empty. And that's why moving on is so hard, because you are still in this delusion that that person is the one and only thing that can make you whole, and it's a part of you, But what you need to realize, as Mike Patton said in that Faith No More song, what was it called? Separation Anxiety. You are a part of me, not apart from me. That's the thing that you should remember. She or he, they're all deep inside you, and the reality, or the actual individual, the individual that you can analyze on paper, he or she is very different from the one that you made up in your head. And this is the thing that in when Nietzsche wept, when I reached this part about it, and I won't spoil it too much, but it exactly touches on this subject, because what you perceive the individual to be, and the reason that you fall in love with her or with him, and the reason why you feel so much connection to him, is because you have projected everything and entangled everything, tied your entire life to that person, and inside you're making an idol out of this guy. And that's why you will start lying to yourself. Your own mind starts playing tricks on you, and you start lying to yourself that this individual is the most perfect being ever. It's the best thing that could happen to you. Believe me. While it's not. It's really not that. When you write it on paper, and when you say it to somebody else that this individual looks like this, or behaves like this, that's their attitude, someone who is not quote-unquote blinded by love, as the old ones would like to say, would tell you that no, this guy is not really the best person out there, or this lady that you're falling in love with, she's not the right case. You should stay away. That is what you're telling me is all just red flags everywhere. But nobody really listens, because we all get so emotional and we get so excited. It's so much feels like an adventure, a thrill. It's so exciting. You can't let go. And that's the reason why letting go feels so hard. Moving on feels almost impossible, and people lose themselves after a breakup. What you need to realize is that what you tied to that person in your mind, all the meanings and purposes that if you've read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, he talks about how he found meaning in loving his wife, and tied his entire survival to her being alive. Something that is not really the best thing to do, but then again, he was in Auschwitz, so what else are you going to do? So what he did is that he kind of lied to himself. His brain kind of lied to himself that your entire life, your entire meaning and purpose, everything that you have worked for, is tied to your wife, tied to her being alive, and tied to you loving her. Something that he later on discussed as filling the existential void, studying another individual and filling yourself with another person. It's one of the three ways that you fill in the existential void. You either find meaning in suffering, you become productive, or you feel like you are a part of someone, or someone is a part of you. You belong to each other, or something like that, which the ultimate form of that kind of affection and passion is obviously falling in love. So in his book, he also referred to this as kind of like projecting in your entire meaning and having it depend on somebody else, something that you can actually avoid. I already told you there's two other ways that you can, fill in the void, become productive, or find some meaning in, your suffering. The thing is that, sometimes you're so devastated by the emotional shock or the trauma or whatever that you've been through, depending on your relationship, that you can't really think straight. You can't find meaning in that. So you should take a step back, take a deep breath, relax yourself, spend some time grieving, spend some time, mourning, and being sad. Slowly but surely become more productive. Do more stuff with your life. And after a while, after you've, eventually became more stable, then you can, find some meaning in your suffering, and case closed, and then you're ready to move on. Because life still goes on, you can still fall in love, and you are whole, because everything that you loved in that other individual, it's actually inside of you. It's not apart from you, it's a part of you. And like that Deftones song, what was it called? Pink Maggots, right? The last song in White Pony. Chino says, all you are is me. I think he says all you are is me. I think he either says all you are is meat or all you are is me. Either way, it means that I gave you meaning. You're nothing more than just meat, or you're nothing more than me. You're just all the things that I made up in my head. You're not that individual. You're not the one that I thought you are, because there's a difference between the reality and what I made up about you inside my head. That's why my therapist actually said something really interesting. She said that every relationship actually includes 4 people. 2 of them are real and 2 of them are inside every individual's head. So you actually have 2 imaginary and 2 real sides to every person, and every relationship at the end of the day feels like it features 4 people. And the more mature you are and realize this, the better. If you could understand that the guy that I love, he's not really the one that's inside my head. It's distance from my animus. Or the girl that I like, she's different from my anima. And you reach some kind of a compromise with your loved one or your partner because of how mature both of you are. That way your relationship will start to stabilize and be healthy. But when it's not, and that's not the case, you're kind of receding from the ideal relationship status. So yeah, that it helped me to move on. I've been trying to move on from a breakup. I've been in kind of like a emotional turmoil more or less these past few days, but after reaching that conclusion, because I was in this downward spiral, and I decided to take some time off, become more and more isolated, and just calm my nerves, then become a bit more productive. And after some time, after I became more productive and I felt like I am able to do more things, including this YouTube channel, which I am going to continue because it's actually pretty, fun to work on. After that, I realized that, after reading these books and, kind of like reviewing everything that I learned from them, I kind of reached my meaning in my suffering as well. And I feel like I can actually move on, and I feel like I can stabilize right now. It hurts, it still does, but it's better. And I think like the future is bright. Like I can work better on it, which is a far cry from 2 months ago. 2 months ago I was on the brink of you know what. But now everything's okay. Yeah, everything's great. So I hope that, I'm going to work on this thought process and my conclusion more and more, so I can find a proper medium to teach people about this. I maybe a book, I don't know. I might start writing it, I might not. I don't want to spoil too much about it. But it was an interesting thing to work on, and it was I feel like that it could help a lot of people if they realize this. Yeah, that's about it. See ya.